Have you ever been to a thrift store, taking a garment and wondering, is this garment really good quality? Does it worth my money, even that is just a couple of few dollars? Today, I'm going to share with you what are the science of good quality and how you can assess the quality of a garment. If you decide to go further and buy garments that you want to refashion, I have really great freebie on the website for you. Garment Upcycling Starter Kit. You can download it when you go to the website. Just follow the link in the show notes if you listen, or in the description if you watch the video. If we haven't met yet, I'm Mariana and I love upcycling old clothes into unique and interesting new styles. Before diving into talking about quality, I have 3 tips for you when you enter the thrift store. So the first thing is just pick garments that you really like the color of. So we actually tend to like specific colors or color palettes, and this is really important to stick with because when you wear it, it will be really good for you. You feel nice, and when you refashion it as well, you will enjoy working with this kind of garment that is the color you like. The second tip is always check if the color or the garment looks good against your face, and that's usually you can check it in front of the mirror. So we tend to like some colors, but they might not really work for our face and our look. So check that as well. And the third tip is to make sure that the garment is really good quality, because no one wants to wear or to rework and refashion lower quality garment. It just doesn't worth really our time and the money that we're going to spend to buy it. Okay, so now let's see what are the science of good quality. We used to think that the branded clothing offers the best quality. Unfortunately, nowadays it's nothing like this. You could pay $300 for something that is just polyester, which is the cheapest fabric and really not the best that you could put towards your skin. So branded clothing is, and especially good quality branded clothing, is a rare thing to find in the op shops. But also, if you find it, usually it's already much more expensive than the other regular items in the shop. So it's double or triple the price of the regular items. On the other hand, it's really rare thing and a chance to find branded clothing that you're gonna like and it's going to fit your style. So it's really not about the brands. In general, there are 3 other things that you can check and see if the quality is really good. The first thing that you can check in a garment is the fabric. So when we talk about fabric, there are 2 things to consider. The first one is the type of the fabric. Is it woven, like in a button-up shirt, for example? Or it's knit, like t-shirt material, for example. So some people prefer just woven fabrics because they're more durable and really last long and stay more stylish on the body. But other people prefer something that stretches, that is more casual and comfortable to the body. So they prefer knitted fabrics, like t-shirt material, as I said, but also fine knits or cardigans, sweaters, and that kind of garments. So you could have quality knits and quality wovens. So usually the fabric appears much smoother and more even when it is of good quality. That's in general. And you can see that when you lift up the piece of the fabric against the light, and you can see if it has some lighter or darker patches and marks or areas, or it's more even and smooth throughout, which means it's better quality. Also, if there are tiny knots into the threads of the fabric, also these kind of knots and inconsistencies into the fabric show lower quality. Talking about knit fabrics, it's again, they need to be smooth and the texture of the fabric needs to be consistent, but it's also again difficult to check. So therefore there are other science that will tell you about the quality, and I'm going to mention about them just in a minute. So let's see what's the second thing when we talk about fabrics. So fabric type is one thing, and the second is the fabric fiber. What kind of fiber was used to construct this fabric? To check the fiber, the best is to check the care label, which is usually on the inside of the garment, on the left side seam of it. Or if it's a skirt or longer dress, the care label could be just lower at near the hem. Or if it's a jacket, sometimes even in tailored men's jackets, you can find the care label in the inside pocket. So this is where usually they place it. But why the fiber is so important in regards to the quality of the garment? When we talk about fibers, there are two main fiber groups used to produce clothing. The first one is the natural fibers and the second is the synthetics. So natural fibers are cotton, wool, silk, linen, and so on and so forth. The other group, synthetics, here we have polyester, acrylic, and other man-made fibers. So this is huge topic, and we're not going to go into too much details here, but I will link to article on the website so you can see more information about the different fiber groups and what are the fibers and everything else. Here I'm just going to say that depending on the fiber, the fabric will have different properties. Natural fibers are really more breathable and more natural to the body. So against the body and against the skin, they feel really softer and nicer. And that's why it's good to check the care label. Now, moving on to synthetics, definitely polyester is the prevalent synthetic fiber that is produced. And unfortunately, it's just another type of plastic. So it doesn't feel natural to the body. And I definitely avoid things like tops, dresses, or other garments from polyester. In warmer temperature, the fiber will actually keep the moisture, will keep you warmer comparing to natural fiber. For example, a top from cotton or a top from silk, linen, or even wool. I remember I had a singlet that I used to wear when I was doing exercises, but this top was feeling even itchy on the inside. And when I checked the inside care label, I saw that it's 100% polyester, which explained everything. So I don't wear this anymore because it just doesn't feel comfortable at all. I know that just knowing the quality from the fabric look or the fiber, it's really difficult thing. So I have something else that is much more reliable that will tell you if that is really good quality garment. Another way to check the quality of a garment is to see the construction. And when I say the construction, I mean to check the seams, to check the finishes of the garment, to check the threads that were used to stitch the garment, and also the overall symmetrical look of the garment. So in the podcast, The Art of Refashioning, episodes 9 and 10, which were part of the Quality Miniseries, we talked about some details when sewing and when checking the overall look and design quality-wise. But here I'm going just to touch those things, so they kind of overlap, but you can check more details in episode 9 and 10 in the Art of Refashioning podcast series. So talking about quality, no matter what garment type is, if it's a t-shirt, dress, or a skirt, jacket, or a button-up shirt, so you can check the seams. And the seams usually needs to be straight, flat, even, and uniform in a way of the garment. So here we have example of t-shirts, so the charcoal t-shirt, so the side seams needs to stay on the side. And also when you check the hem is flat, there's no twists in the hem. When you check the neckline, also the neck band is even all throughout. And if there is a stitching, so there's no stitching on the charcoal t-shirt, but other t-shirts, they have stitching. So all the stitch lines needs to be parallel to any joint seams or any other stitch lines. This is also a sign of good quality made garment. And again, if you take the garment, you need to have symmetrical left and right sides, as we talked in episode 10 of The Art of Refashioning. So when you check, let's say, the arm seams, they need to be the same length, and this is just overall check of the garment quality. So if everything appears even and the garment seems symmetrically done, that is sign of good quality. But also all the finishes, and usually you see that on the inside, when you look at the inside seams, all these finishes, side seams and other inside seams needs to be finished well. So it could be just an overlocker that covers and finishes the raw edge, or it could be a specialized seam that is much more time consuming to do. So in production, it's much more time consuming to make seams that have more stitch lines, like for example, flat felt seam, or also French seam for finer fabrics usually. So these kind of seams and finishes, they require more time, and more time in production means higher quality, because more money were invested in production, and therefore the resulting fabric and garment, of course, is of high quality. So finishes and finishing the seams in a neater and more beautiful way is a sign of good quality. And when we talk about construction, the third thing to check that will show you better quality is that the threads, and again I'm going to give the example with the orange button-up shirt, so all the threads needs to be the same color as the garment when you look on the inside or on the outside. Of course, if a contrasting thread, it's not a design decision, so sometimes you can see contrasting threads, but anyway, the same contrasting thread is just kept for the design feature and design stitching, but when you look on the inside, all the other threads are matching to the fabric. And also another sign is just not to have any loose threads on the inside or on the outside. So everything is cut away. There are no loose threads on the garment. So this definitely shows better quality. So construction wise, how the seams were finished, and if they're straight, neat, flat and uniform, how all the inside finishes look, and if they're more beautiful and neater, then that is sign for good quality. And also the threads, if they're color matched the entire garment, and if there are no loose threads. So this is what to check construction wise. And finally, there is a third thing that can show you that this garment is good quality. The third sign of good quality in a garment is when you have some details. So when you check the details on the garment, they will show you if it's good quality. For instance, there's a pale pink blouse that I found, and after checking the fiber, I saw that it's 80% silk, so it's really nice natural fiber. It's knitted fabric, so it stretches and it's really soft against the skin. But also the front of the blouse has lace, and all the lace is beaded. And when you check on the inside, it's actually hand beaded, and this means that really a lot of time is spent to make this garment, which means that is really high quality. So anything that is hand stitch, beading or sequence or whatever is added to the garment, it could be buttons or something else, or some other details like D-rings and other things. Sometimes it's a zipper or other add-ons. That means any detailing on the garment means that it's a lot of time has been spent in production phase, which again means more money to produce, and therefore higher quality, and probably in a retail shop this will cost a lot. So these kind of signs you can find, and let's say for instance another example of black cardigan which didn't have any label, so I just didn't have any clue if it's branded clothing or anything. But when I checked the inside, so it's 50% silk and about 20% cotton, so it's natural fiber. The rest I think it's nylon, so it stretches. It's fine, neat cardigan. And first I saw the natural fiber. Then when I touch it, it's really soft. Then it's knitted fabric, fine knit cardigan, so it stretches and it's comfortable to the body. But also when I check the details on the cardigan, although it is very simple design, it has a lot of buttons at the front, and also a lot of buttons, like 6 buttons on the cuff. And also when you check the buttons, so there are different shapes. So it's heart shape, flower shape, circular, and they just go on, and there are so many buttons. So this is really a sign, first, a lot of buttons, not just few. So that is more expensive to produce. And second, the buttons have different shape. So this is also very exclusive, and it's a rare thing to see in less expensive garments. But also when you see at the hem level, there is a pocket. So usually knit garments, to have pocket, that means additional work on the garment. So this also makes it very special. And when you look the finishes as well, the hem of the garment and the hem of the sleeves, it's actually differently made. So it's not just flat, but it's a curvy. So it looks like a curly lace at the bottom, which gives additional personality to the cardigan. So it's just simple black cardigan. But when you know what's the fiber, and it's the fiber that you prefer, when you see the look that it's a firmer knitted material, it stretches and bounces back when you stretch it, And also when you check all the details, so the buttons and the different type of buttons, the curly hem, the additional pocket, all these details actually adds up and say that this is really high quality garment. So this cardigan was actually on a pile among all other regular polyester tops and other type of clothes. And because it didn't have any branded label, so it was removed previously, on this secondhand clothing sale, this was just a regular item. But when you know what to check exactly, you can actually find really good treasures. And that's a really good example of that. And just to confirm how all this fabric construction and details work, I'll show you another example. So this is a black jacket and the fabric is like a jeans type of fabric. However, it's finer material. It's not exactly twill or jeans fabric. And when you see that, and you'll be able to see if you follow the link, if you listen, so you'll be able to see how the jacket looks. It's actually dark, again, a charcoal jacket, but it has a lot of details on the jacket. So it has a true embroidery of a contrasting white thread on the both lapels and also on the sleeves, the elbow level of the sleeves. So they appear from far, they appear like lines, but they're actually embroidery, like a lettering. Also, the same embroidery is on the hip level of the jacket. There are also red hand-stitched lines on the princess seams at the front and also at the back. And finally, the lining is interesting color that not just matches the charcoal, so that's the main color, the charcoal, but also gives additional darker and more muted reds and yellows and also off-white. So it really gives additional personality to the jacket. When you open, you can see that the front lining actually is black and just the back piece of the lining is that different color. And also this fabric, the printed fabric with different colors, appears at the front. So there is a lot of details on this jacket. And it shows, again, something else. There are two buttons at the front where the collar meets the lapel. And these buttons have some engraving as well. So this means that a lot of detailed refining on the garment was done, which is a sign of good quality. Now, if quality is really important for you, as it is for me, I need to say something that is regardless the quality. So there are few times when, regardless of the quality, it might be low quality, you should consider this item. And this is when there are a lot of add-ons and different notions onto the item. It could be not just garment, but it could be a bag or something else. So, for example, if you have a garment with lots of buttons or more zippers, or the zipper, let's say, is golden zipper with really nice zipper head and interesting. So this is definitely, regardless of the quality, you should consider if you want to have such kind of zippers and buttons, and especially if there are more of these onto the garment. So this is a time when you definitely need to consider, should you buy it just because of the add-ons and the notions that it has. So I remember once I bought a bag that was really shapeless, from a twine or something made, so, and the color was terrible. However, this bag had almost 20 wooden buttons which were engraved or something written or drawn with a contrasting off-white finer lines. So these wooden buttons, I think they were even in the shape of a flower or something. They were amazing, and they were 20 buttons almost on this bag. So no matter the bag, I just bought it because of the buttons. So in this kind of some circumstances and just rare cases, I should say, you need to be really aware and think beyond the quality. Just because you get for really low price, you get lots of notions like buttons, zippers, or other interesting additions that you can take and add to other garments and refashions. Of course, when we talk about quality, there are things you should be aware of and things that I usually avoid. So I can say that there are 3 cases when I usually avoid buying the garment. So the first case is when the garment has more separate pieces of different fabrics. It's like bodices or jackets that has too many pieces stitched together, let's say leather. But when we talk about refashioning, it's really hard to have these small pieces incorporated in another project. So it's really hard to work around too many seams that add too much bulk, and to work around too many different pieces which could be different colors. So that's why I usually avoid this kind of garments. Also, the second case is when the fiber is polyester, especially, as I said, for summer clothes. It's just the one thing that you definitely want to avoid, because it keeps you warm, it feels like plastic on the body, and also it just keeps bad odors more than you could have imagined, comparing to natural fibers, which if you put out and just for a day in the air, and the odor usually just gets less and less and disappears. And this is how I actually get rid of the odor of some leather garments. But polyester tends to keep it, and other synthetic fibers as well, like as we mentioned, acrylic or fleece from polyester, and so on and so forth. So just keep that in mind as well. And the last case is related to damages, like fading or some tears or stains and that kind of things. Fading, it depends how it is, where it is. So I have some faded garments that I've purchased, although they look really not that good. So this was a leather jacket. I decided that faded leather is really something that I can embrace, and it's not something that scares me. Another example of fading is a cardigan. So it's a grass green, really not my color cardigan, that is faded from the shoulders. However, when I saw that it's pure wool, and I really like that it drapes well, it fits me well, I like this type of garments, so I decided that for me is manageable, and I can re-dye it and change the color, and of course reconfigure the fading and make it really a feature with different color. Another example is marks on t-shirts and on other type of tops. So I've got some projects done, and I will link to these articles, but I want to give an example with a teal long sleeve t-shirt blouse, sort of. So it's a t-shirt material which is absolutely amazing teal, rich teal color, but it had really bad marks that appeared more bluish on the top. And what I did is I added the same teal color lace, cutouts from this lace, and I embellished the top. So this covered the marks and made really interesting and unique top that I can wear and enjoy. So this was the time when I decided, yes, of course I can do some embellishment and enjoy wearing this. Hopefully now you feel more confident what is really good quality when you go to a thrift store, and that it's not just about the brand or that the garment is in the designer section in the thrift store, but also that it is about the fabric and the fiber that the fabric is made from. And also now you know that other science like construction and all the seams and the overall look of the garment that gives this nice quality, but also something additional, that all the details and additional work onto the garment that really should tell you this is better quality. And of course, beyond quality, you know that sometimes you might just get an item because it has lots of notions, buttons and zippers and some add-ons and interesting things that you can use on other projects of yours. And of course, some things to avoid. It might be not the same that I told you, but it's something that you should consider, either if it's a staining or polyester for summer clothing, or just garment from smaller pattern pieces and smaller fabrics. Whatever garment you decide to buy, better quality or not so good quality, at least you know how to choose. If you decide to go further and buy garments that you want to refashion, I have really great freebie on the website for you. Garment Upcycling Starter Kit. You can download it when you go to the website. Just follow the link in the show notes if you listen, or in the description if you watch the video. I'm Mariana from Perth, Western Australia. See you next time. Bye for now.